government, and we don't really know what goes on with that.
We know nothing.
And, you know, coincidentally, it was started the same time that an income tax was started, which really wasn't even passed, in my opinion. They just kind of slipped it under the radar and said, oh, now you all owe a federal income tax. So you've got to start thinking to yourself, if one of the 4 branches of government, now this new virtual branch of government that we've created in the past century, is accountable to no one, and yet we don't have any idea what they spend their money on. What's going on with that? Isn't there something desperately wrong with that situation? And yet nobody really wants, or nobody's asking to audit it until now. I mean, just over the past couple of years with Ron Paul spearheading this, you really haven't seen much in the way of what are we spending our money on? And if we know what we're spending our money on, then we know what we can cut, and then we know that we can pass those tax savings on to the consumer.
What's interesting about Ron Paul is they attacked him and demonized him before the election. Fox News and CNN and Hannity and Beck and whatnot. Then after Obama got put in by the bankers also funded McCain, so they had their heads betched no matter who, their money in the right place no matter who won. But after Obama became the president, all of a sudden Ron Paul was on Fox and he was on CNN because they're trying to hang on to their audience. And they're giving you a little bit of truth. They're talking about liberty and the Constitution to a point, but there's a point where there's a lot of, like Glenn Beck, for example. He's someone that a lot of people are watching right now for answers and information. Yet at the same time, it appears he's working directly for the bankers. He actually supported the banker bailout initially. He's on air saying this. And he actually demonized Ron Paul supporters about a year ago, right before the election. So what is your take on how, before we get to the clip, how the mainstream media has portrayed the liberty movement as a whole, including the Constitution movement?
First off,
I mean, they are one and the same. There's the Constitution Party, and then you have the Libertarian Party.
Right. Well, media's intention is to sell, of course. I mean, that's how they make money. But you've got to think that they're in the back pockets of a lot of these legislature, of the legislature, if not in the government itself. I mean, when the government has allowed 60+% of the media to be controlled by a very handful of elite, super rich people. And I mean, when you're looking at something like that, when they control that, there's got to be a spin to it. And so these people who are looking to limit the amount of control of the government are at direct odds with those who own the media. So naturally the media is going to lambast them.
Well, we definitely need to have libertarians and constitutionalists as senators right now, because the media is in the hands of just a few people, and that's driving public opinion. And so certainly, I don't know if we can stop it at this point, but it's certainly getting really, really bad, especially with that other report about China having their own global TV network that's about to be launched. That's going to be really interesting to see what kind of programming is on that, or if we can maybe access that with our dish. China's the good guys. But we're going to go ahead and play track 5, Bill. This is from Pennsylvania. Very interesting stuff.
Tom, nice house. What's not so nice is you owe Pennsylvania $4,212 in back taxes. Listen, Tom, we can make this easy. Pay online by June 18th, and we'll skip your penalty and take half off your interest. Because, Tom, we do know who you are.
Yes, Tom, we do know who you are. We also know where your wife is and your kids. Your thoughts? It's pretty crazy.
It's
little
scary.
Intimidation.
The thing that I almost like about it is that they're just right in your face about it. You know, I mean, you've got to think to yourself, did that really just happen?
Was that really a female computerized voice talking to me?
I really see that, and the idea that it's almost funny to me that they're just slapping us across the face with this, and yet people were almost acting like sheeple. Like we just, yeah.
Obama.
Okay. Yeah, is that, you know, but I mean, is that supposed, that really just happened. And so the idea that, I'm wondering if they're looking at this going, I wonder how much we can get away with. I wonder how, you know, how subversive we can actually be before people really try to revolt. And eventually it's going to be to the point where they've got you surrounded to the point where you can't.
What's wrong, Mark? Isn't the government going to give us jobs? Hey, bring up graphic number 19. What is it, 19 or 20 with the police state goon? Get a government job now. $65,000 a year. Join the riot police. Can we get up graphic number 19 or 20 with the riot cop there? Take a look. Now we're seeing more. We're seeing this on like the back of TriMet now. Like join the FBI, join the CIA, join the police force. Here we go. Oh, wow. So what are your thoughts on these new government jobs that are being created? Again, there's more government jobs being created than jobs being created in the private sector.
Well, it's scary because if you think about it, the people in the private sector are what is paying for the government. And so when the level of government jobs continues to go up and the level of private jobs continues to shrink, who's going to pay for all of these people in the government? I have no idea. And so the idea really here is that I think it's more of a level of indoctrination. You know, you work for the government's good, they're on your side, they're for you. You know, it's the same kind of thing that we see in public schools nowadays. True. There's a union that is controlling one party, the Democratic Party. And I'm not, you know, I've got a lot of friends who are Democrats, but I look at it and say, you know, if unions, especially public employee unions, namely teachers unions, who hold kids hostage, who are all for the children, of course, but yet they consistently, it seems as though they're indoctrinating our kids, where nowadays, I talked with a lot of friends who are in their 20s, early 20s, they're proud to be socialists. When I was in high school and junior high, that was a bad word, socialism. And now kids are like, oh, we think it's great. We love government takeover and control. We want more government. I'm thinking to myself, how did this happen and why?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you look at schools today, they're pushing the vaccines. I remember being in the 8th grade in Aurora, which is about 30 miles south of here.
I've got clients in Aurora.
Okay, that's where I grew up till I was 13. The cameras started popping up in the classrooms and the monitors right around that time. And I'm talking like 1993. Not a lot of cameras, but just a few, but monitors where they would put up special newscasts and whatnot. And so there's definitely many layers of indoctrination going on here. Now, we're going to play track number 6 in a moment. This is from CNN, and it gets into our earlier conversation about the demonization of patriots, libertarians, Oath Keepers as well. I interviewed Brian Doe from the Hawaiian chapter of the Oath Keepers a couple weeks ago, and they're definitely attacking people that are questioning the government and formulating their own peaceful revolution movements. And so let's go ahead and roll that. And I know Catherine, and she lives in Austin, Texas, and she is with the Campaign for Liberty. And so look at how they talk down to her. Look at how the man talks down to the woman going, why do you question government? What's wrong with you? Roll it.
9/11. Government conspiracy?
I don't know, but everyone should question it.
Obama? Born or not born in the U.S.?
I don't know, but everyone should question that at this point, too.
We met Catherine Bleich in this subterranean bookstore called Brave New Books, where this leader of the Liberty Restoration Project tries to explain her anti-war, pro-community garden, and extremely anti-Obama conservative movement.
But we're going to put her in her place.
Necessarily.
How dare this woman question the authorities?
I'm anti-coercion, and I'm anti-force. So I believe that any sort of government should be consensual.
She believes we, the people, are being unfairly taxed, illegally spied upon, and more controlled by a federal government.
Thank God Brave New Books got a great plug.
Like other governments.
Is this
a great bookstore in Texas?
I don't know.
But sounds like what you're describing.
Possibly. It's sad, isn't it?
Bleich is not a militant, is not